Hey, nice. All right. So we're live. I want to chat with you about having faith. And this is a very important topic. Some could almost say it's crucial to have faith, especially in all areas of life. But of course, I'm talking about motherhood and how that can pertain to us as parents, guardians, wherever this position is for you. And specifically on having faith and the confidence in your abilities and all of that stuff. But I want to talk about being a great mom and successfully raising children. And we know that that begins with having the faith in ourselves. And that may shock you because normally you're like, well, whatever, just kind of, we're not given a handbook on how to be a parent or how to raise children. So it's like, how do you know how to be the best you can be? And honestly, that starts with you. Like I said, this may sound crazy if this is not, it is not common knowledge. I will say that because I definitely was not raised this way. And I didn't really come into this information until 3 years ago. But it all starts with you. So if you want to be better at something, it's not the other person, the other situation, circumstance that has to change. It's you. So that is a big piece. And we will dissect more on that. But this is also around having the belief in the abilities for you to parent well, because this is so crucial. And again, it starts with your confidence. And as we know, your children will feed off of your energy. So if you come into a situation and you're presenting fear, you're presenting not having the confidence, so lack of confidence. If you're frustrated, if you're angry, if you're any kind of emotion that you are putting out, your children are resonating with. And they know you better than most people know you, most family, all of that stuff, right? Like they are feeding off of your energy. And babies will do this more so than even some children. And you think that's crazy because they are brand new and fresh in this world, but they are 100% tapping into all of their senses, all of their higher faculties, all of their everything that we are born with. So all of this stuff that we're pulling out through this work, that baby is tapped into. It actually we start being conditioned after that stage of the first time we take our first breath. We are taking in what's going on around us as a baby. And then as you go through life and you get older and older and older, you start being conditioned to think, believe, act, and feel things in a certain way. And that comes from our environment, right? How we're exposed to things, how we come in contact with things, how we're talked to, communicated with, how we are raised. That's a big part of it. What our parents' beliefs are, which then can be kind of pushed onto us because that's what our parents are going to believe. So usually we kind of believe the same things, or we're taught or told to believe those things. But again, it comes back to there is no blame in any of that. There is no blame in the way you were raised, in the circumstances, situations that you were exposed to, the environment you were brought up in. There is no blame in any of that. It is all awareness. And you were exposed to certain situations for a very, very specific reason. Even if that reason makes no sense to you right now, there is a reason you were exposed to that, because you were supposed to learn and grow from that experience. And I know that sounds harsh in a way if that experience was very negative, but the only way that we know how to shift a paradigm is through a negative situation. So again, let's talk about losing a loved one. I actually just recently lost my grandma, and we are given that experience because it was supposed to teach us something. So although it doesn't make sense at the time for you to lose someone, you were given that situation for a reason. And I know there is so many different examples and situations that you're going to be like, but you were never exposed to this, but you were never exposed to this. You were exposed to it for a reason. So just be open to what that reason is. Don't figure out, or don't invest your life in figuring out why you were exposed to that. Just take away from it what you are meant to take away, and be open to whatever can come from that. And honestly, as a parent, we have to be completely open to every situation. Like, our kids literally give us different examples and things constantly. And if we are not in the habit of being aware of them, or to recognize what is coming up or why this is happening, then we're not going to see the lesson. We're not going to be able to look at that situation from a completely different place. Like, you remove yourself from the situation. So it's like, in this instant, you are not the mom, and you remove yourself from the situation and look at it kind of this like bird's eye view. It's like you are now able to change your perception on what that situation was. And to bring this back to faith, because that is exactly what we're talking about, it's having the faith that you are doing the best you can at your current level of awareness to raise incredible humans that are going to be able to figure things out in this world, right? So as you know, if you continually grow yourself and you are constantly being open to all situations and not going into it judging or blaming, then you are only modeling that behavior for your child. So the more you do something in a really positive way that feels good to you, and you can almost like tap into your higher self in these situations, then just know that your children are constantly watching, your spouse is constantly watching, the people around you are wondering what is different as you are starting to change and grow and have this crazy awareness that you never once had. And they won't notice it right in the beginning. Even if you tell them, I'm doing this program, whatever, they have to see it, and they honestly don't necessarily see it until there's like a big growth, or you've completed the program, or you're now living as your goal achieved self, is what we like to say, because you've uncovered and tapped into who that is and how she makes decisions, and you live and do everything as this goal achieved self would do. So it's like even down to the ridiculous of, we were talking about this morning in study club. What kind of food would I eat? Does my goal achieve self eat this food? Yes or no, right? Even if it's like an unhealthy food or what we like to say as a bad food, if your goal achieves self because you know her so well, would say, yes, 100%, I would dive into that and indulge, then go for it, because what you're telling your subconscious mind about it is that it's okay. We are like totally open. We are totally okay with this decision. You're not holding resentment. You're not holding anything there that you're going to gain weight, because we have this stereotype of like healthy foods and bad foods and good foods and all of that. And if you continue to live your life as labeling things as good and bad, then we're not going to understand the difference between just eating something because your goal achieved self says yes. We dive in and we indulge every once in a while, because you've set your health goals, right? Through this process of figuring out who you are as your goal achieved, you've set your goals in all the areas of life, relationships, health, within yourself. That's a big one that we kind of forget. It's like, who is myself? How does she feel? How, like, all the things, dive into it. There's understanding and having the faith that all of that stuff is going to happen because you've figured out who your goal achieved self is. You've made decisions from her, and then ultimately you are putting it out there to the universe, God, source, whatever you believe in, that this is how it's going to be, and that is the exact things that will start coming into you. And there are so many examples in this of having faith. When our children go to do something risky, if we hold on to this fear that they are going to hurt themselves, they're going to break an arm, that, like, sometimes we project that. We say, if you do that, you could blah, 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 right? And we're projecting our fear onto them. So in that moment, we're not having faith that they have made a good decision to do something or to not do something based on their own level of understanding. Like, children do have to fall down. We learn this as children start walking. We learn that they will fall down. But what do they do next? They usually get right back up, even if they just smack their head on the floor. They get back up and they start doing it again. And that is where we have lost that in a lot of this, like, stage of life, when we're out of obviously infancy and as a child, and we're now an adult, and maybe we're raising our own humans, and we see examples in them that were given for a reason. And so it's just such a cool opportunity for you to tap into this whole new level, because you're not only having faith in something that you're doing, but now as a parent, you're having faith in your child is going to be okay if they are climbing a tree or jumping off of something. Like, you get to hold that faith for them. So catch yourself before you go to say something like that, of like, the list goes on of, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to break your heart. Like, catch yourself and ask your child, if they're at the age where they can answer a question, ask your child around that of, do you believe that this is safe or whatever? Come up with your own wording. And that's kind of something we like to do in our family, because I started to realize that I was projecting a lot of my fears and different things and situations with my children. And that's not, that didn't feel right to me, right? It's up to them. Like, the whole word be careful, that is very overused, in my opinion, because it is teaching children to play it safe. And we know in life, if you want to be successful, do something different, um, not follow the sheep, if you know what I mean. And we have to take a risk. Like, we understand the only way to move forward in life is to take risks. And sometimes they're big and sometimes they're small, but at that level, you are deciding. You are deciding what is a big risk and what is a small risk. And I love that we had this conversation this morning in Study Club, because we understand what a risk is. Obviously, stepping outside your door is a risk, but you need to understand what is a risk and what is, like, your level of comfort, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Is you are the only person that can determine that, and you are the only person that can decide that level to a certain extent in your child when they are still figuring things out, right? Because once you know your child, like, you can be there to catch them or be close if you know they're going to do something, and then it just gives you an opportunity to teach a lesson, right? In that example, if they do something risky, if you've asked them the question and they say, yep, I still want to do it, it's like, okay, go for it. And then just, like, be there just in case, right? Because we don't want to intentionally hurt our children or for them to fall down. Like, they do need to learn 100%. But in the earlier stages, they definitely need some support as well. So that is kind of my message around faith. Is it goes so much deeper and beyond, like, motherhood. Obviously, in this little series, I'm just trying to, like, bring this. How can, like, we read this book every single day if you're a part of the 2% club. And how can we, like, bring this as more relatable information? Because that is one thing I do love about this book, but I have also been doing this work for 3 years, and we have read this book over and over and over and over again. So it's like, I still don't fully get it, and I don't think I will until my awareness, like, grows and grows and grows and grows. But I understand it deeper than I once did when I first started. So to be able to bring this back and make it relatable to the stage that you're going through right now, maybe, is amazing. And I wish I had this, because trying to find examples or things within the book, obviously it's very, like, business and stuff. So being able to bring it back to real life and what is happening right now, kind of in this stage, is awesome. So I know you got something out of this, because there was something in it that I was meant to share. So take your takeaways, and, like we do with everything else, don't just, oh, that's cool, and then carry on with life. And take it and actually, like, apply it. So if there's something I said that you're like, yep, I need to do that, so maybe just slow down on the be carefuls. Or journal on it. If I said something that you're like, that goes against my beliefs, journal on it and figure out why it may be rubbing you the wrong way, or maybe, yeah, rustling your feathers, whatever, whatever analogies you want to use. That is my message. Just have faith in every single thing that you do, because, and this is, like, crucial, and I meant to say this earlier, is because you are holding a vision. You are holding a vision for the way you want your kids to be in life, the way, like, the tiny humans that you want them to grow up into as adults. You get to hold the faith for that. If it's a health goal, you get to hold the faith in that it will happen. If it's a personal, financial, business goal, you get to hold the faith. And the way that you hold the faith is visualizing exactly to every little detail, journaling, figuring out what those details are for that vision. And then you get to hold that vision and you get to keep holding it and keep holding it and keep holding it until it comes to fruition. Like that is your job as a human, is you get to ask for what you want. Then we go into the believe, and then we go into the receiving, right? Or be, do, have. You have to be the person to do the things to have them, right? Be the person, do the things, have them. Or ask, believe, receive, right? Same thing. It's just like you have to put something out there, and your awareness has to come in for you to be able to say, I want something different than my current life that I'm living. And then you need to believe it. That is your job. You are the only person who wants this thing more than anyone else. You have to believe that it's coming. You have to believe that it's happening by holding that vision and having the faith. And that is exactly what having faith or faith means to me. It's not the like religious terminology. That's kind of a whole different example of faith. Having faith or holding the faith is knowing in your deepest part of your soul that something will happen, and nobody else can hold that as strong as you because they don't want it the way that you want it. So this is like I said, there are so many brilliant examples in motherhood and parenthood that this comes up, and that we don't actually rely on our higher faculties in this sense when something happens outside of us. It's like, as a child, we probably did something, our child is now doing that thing. And if we don't show our child how to hold the faith or confidence as a parent, like sticking to what you say you're going to do, that's a big one, then your children automatically see right through it and understand that you have zero faith that they are going to be safe, or zero faith in the words that just came out of your mouth that you're asking them to do, or whatever the situation is. But I can talk about this topic forever, like you are noticing. So I'm going to cut it there, and let me know if you have any questions. Let me know, as always, if you have any topics that you want me to talk about specifically in parenthood, motherhood, raising aware humans, all the things, right? This is my jam. This is what I love. And I am so grateful that I get to do this work and bring more aware humans into this world, right? Because if you're aware, automatically your awareness is going to get shown to your baby as they grow into a child, right? Changing the next generation, which is so freaking cool. All right. Have a wonderful day. That is my message for today. Take care.